Yeah. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Roll call in advance, you don't even gotta mention. Swap it in the deck, you're not bullish enough. Trade it in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity, flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gonna end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me, no way. OnChain revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah, Nicky's. Yeah, OnChain revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recap, then I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, yeah, send it to the deck. Sell it through the spec. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy on the channel to cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the OnChain Hour, and today's episode is going to be absolutely awesome, guys. We do have some major news to go over. CPI today, PPI yesterday. What it all means for the markets, what it all means for rate cuts. Tom Lee was on a show this morning. I think it was Mario Naval, and he basically said that he thinks September 17th is going to be upward momentum that we've been waiting for and hoping for, right? Today is September 11th, a day of remembering. Something critical happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk. He passed away suddenly after getting, what happened with that situation. I don't want to say those words, but it sucks. It really sucks. And, what happens with these situations is, a lot of people kind of take a step back. You start realizing what's really important, and financial markets should always be on the back burner. Money is important. Money is the key to freedom. We chase money every day, but days like yesterday and with 9/11 kind of makes you take a step back a little bit, and we'll get into that a little bit as well here. So without further ado, let me bring in my partner here as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
So everyone kind of remembers where they were on September 11th. I was walking into my history class. My history teacher was just like, go home, just go home. And I look up on the TV and I just see, the second plane hitting. But where were you 9/11 that year?
So I was, I forgot. I think it might have been like an English course that I was taking at the community college. Yeah, close to me. And I remember they were talking about it, and they had it on the TV. Actually, it was the what are they called? The portable kind of classrooms, the outside ones. The community college was like under construction, so I was out there, and I remember I was just like, I was kind of just amazed and like, what is happening? I was trying to process it. So that's what I was doing, was trying to get an education, and that happened that day.
Yeah, I remember being told, he's like, just go home, and I was like, what? Okay, like I didn't ask questions, and I got home and I was like, oh shit, like this is serious. Like it wasn't just like a thing or whatever. But yesterday's events, I think something like that is worth talking about. Charlie Kirk passed away yesterday. Somebody who is very controversial and political, but at the same time he was a father, and what happened to him yesterday was really messed up. So I just want to give maybe some words from you.
Yeah, I mean, it was, current state of the world, really. And I do think that, I think you said it perfectly. Like, times like that, you take a step back and just remember what you've been blessed with, in your home. And if you're healthy, think of, be happy about that. If you, are meeting your needs every month in terms of financial, be happy with that. Always wanting more isn't necessarily like, a thing that is something we should always, just run after all the time. I get ambition. I'm an ambitious person. Success, I'm very competitive, but I think, you can use these kind of situations as opportunities to kind of self-reflect on being grateful, right? And I think that that's something that I need to do more of myself. So
yeah, I think we all need a little bit of that in our lives, right? Like I'm so much chasing the next dollar or chasing the next asset that's going to 100x. Sometimes you stop and you look around, and like for me, it's like, damn, my kids are 11 and 9. Like when the hell did that happen, right? So it's like sometimes it is some days like yesterday and 9/11 of 2000 was 2001, yeah. It makes you kind of think like what is actually the most important part. But you guys don't watch a show for that. You guys watch a show for financial news and our opinions on different such stuff like that. So let's kind of jump right into that here. CPI explosion incoming, VanEck Hyperliquid ETF coming, Altseason Index skyrockets. So first things first, let's kind of get into headline CPI, actual 2.9, estimated 2.9, but the prior was 2.7. So we are higher than last one, but we are seeing people come out and say that this is, transitional into the new tariff world that we're in, and we're kind of seeing this as transitory in the sense of this isn't going to be something that we should worry about that's going to keep going up. And a lot of people on CNBC this morning were kind of expecting next CPI to actually be lower, back in the mid twos as well. But how do you feel about this? Yesterday's PPI number, we did talk about that. Just for anyone who missed that, it was way lower than expected. It came in at like 2.6 and it was projected to be like 3.1. So that was super low from business to business. What normally happens as well is going into the next CPI, we're going to actually see the B2B aspect come into effect.
Yeah, I think this is a great data that came out, in my opinion, right? Last month, if you remember the PPI, that was extremely high. So I expected CPI to be higher, like what was expected probably, and maybe even touching the threes, maybe, I don't know. But like, PPI is obviously the producer price index. So you're talking about, the goods to the companies, right? So if they're paying higher, in that previous month, then I would imagine it would be passed down pretty aggressively to the consumer. But it doesn't seem like that's the case, right? Maybe 1 month isn't enough time to see that. But another thing about yesterday's PPI that I don't know if we hit on, but I think we briefly hit on it. But and some people that said it was going to be a one-time kind of hike and then get back on track. And that's what we saw for the past 2 months. Now, I think next month's PPI is going to be very important, but we will already have the rate cut by then. So, I think we're safe for the rate cut. I completely believe that. Now, is it going to be 50 bips or is it going to be 25 bips? That's the question. And then the CPI coming in at 2.9, I actually think this is bullish in my opinion. And we'll see if we get some price action kind of correlating with that here to finish off this week.
Yeah, 100%. Let's take a look at the poly market. Let me show my screen here. Poly market, it was 20% going into 20%, and now it's sitting there at around 13. So we are seeing 85% now. So it's pretty much we're going with this 8. We're going to go with the 25 bits, which I think is good because October is about probably like 30 days after that. I think I can actually see when it is October 29th. So it's about 45 days after the next rate cuts, which is good because there'll be a lot of data in between there as well. But it does look like we're about to head into a rate cutting cycle. Going into Q4 as well. You have to remember we're only 19 days away from Q4. So, with the next 60 days being very, very important, the economic data is showing that we could eventually be in a bull market here. And you are kind of seeing rotation into Solana as well from Ethereum. So what do you think about all this in this rate cutting cycle and then the rotation?
Yeah, it's interesting that the 50 bips dropped. I'm seeing it dropped about 4%. So it was at a 20% mark. When was that? Like late yesterday or?
No, it was at 20%. I want to say on Monday, and then it's been dropping since.
Interesting. I wonder what's pushing that, or if it's just being manipulated. Because I know that
people are just betting on the 25.
Betting. Gotcha. So this is kind of volatility of just kind of
Yeah.
going back and forth there. But also, the jobs numbers I think came in today, right? And so
yeah, we'll get into that too.
Yeah, so that affects it, right? Actual was 263, expected was 235. So I would think that he would want to be more aggressive with the
There's
rate
more
cut.
claims. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, to try to correct that. But we will see if this is manipulation on the poly market side to get people away from the 50 bips. But 85% of anything on poly market is typically a confident kind of bet. So, you know, if we are going based off of that, then probably gonna go for the 25 bips instead of the 50.
Yeah.
Unless something drastically changes over the next we got about 6 days.
Yeah, and there's no more data points. We'll get one jobs number. I think no, I don't think we can even get a jobs number before that. I think we might get jobs claims by that point as well, but not much economic data from here to there. Jerome has a lot on his plate right now, but like, I think the problem is, and I think you are right, manipulated, but a lot of problem is you're seeing some bigger names come out and say they're expecting a 25 bips. I think today JPMorgan came out and said that as well. So we are kind of seeing, TradFi names kind of come out and say, we're expecting a 25. And Jerome doesn't like shocking the markets. He never does. Everyone knows what he's going to do before he does it, right? So, and then because normally if it's like, poly market is normally 1000% right going into the jobless until the rate cut. So we'll see what happens, and that is I think next Thursday. I want to say next Tuesday or next Wednesday at around next Wednesday around 2 p.m. Eastern time. So looking into that for sure. But let's kind of get into the next thing here. VanEck plans to file a Hyperliquid Hype spot staking ETF in the US and launch on exchange traded products ETPs in Europe. So Hype proof of stake, I looked into this, is about 2.3% APY across validators. And then the SEC today, they delayed the BlackRock spot Ethereum ETF, which allows staking. So what do you think about this? I think this would be absolutely huge if this gets passed. I do think it does get passed. But I do think the SEC wants wording in these that does not exist right now. And I think that's kind of what is going on with the Ethereum one. But I think VanEck is watching that, and they're going to, whatever they need for the Ethereum one, they're going to put it in the Hype one, because I do think VanEck thinks that this Hype spot ETF could be very lucrative for them.
So this would be like a regular spot ETF, but then you have the feature of being able to stake as well, right?
Well, it'll be staked, so you'll immediately get a dividend or a yield yearly.
So they're not going to even go with spot ETF first, because there isn't one that exists.
I looked. No, well, there is by VanEck. So I think there is somebody out there who has put it in a Hype one. I mean,
but
everyone
just filed it basically.
Just filed it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is showing that people have a lot of faith in Hyperliquid, I think, from the institutional level. Because I mean, that yield percentage isn't that great, but I think, when you compare it to like Ethereum or Solana, but maybe they see so much upside, and with this kind of buyback mechanism that Hyperliquid has with its fees, they're looking at this as an opportunity, even at a 2.83% yield. And, for them, they move in size, obviously, right?
Yeah.
It's completely different game. So for them, making 2.8 with this ascension of price value, right, per coin, they look at this, in my opinion, as a big opportunity. And so this could be that catalyst that keeps them safer, right, away from what you were talking about, the doomsday situation, which I do see that possibility. But if they do have the VanEck kind of, wanting Hype to succeed, and they're buying into this, because this is going to be a long-term thing, 2.8%, 3%, that's not a short-term kind of thing for them. It's probably, I would imagine, at least, 5-year type of outlook, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And so this is bullish for Hype, in my opinion, if they get it through. Which I expect them to. Hyperliquid is probably going to have to do a lot of, pleasing the regulators and these American corporations like VanEck and stuff like that. I think they're American. But I wonder if they're going to get pressured into using some sort of stables as well. I don't think so, because I think like they probably look at that as smart for Hyperliquid to do the USDH route and say, you know, okay, well, this is another reason why we like them, and we're going into what they're doing.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the USDH thing for sure. It does look like they're gonna go with a it looks like they're going with an inside person here, not with thing. But there's still time to tell with that. We'll get into that a little bit more. But let me ask you this though: as I say, you're holding ETH long term, would you feel like you're losing 6% a year if you're not staking it? Because I that happens to me sometimes. I'll hold a token and I'll be like, damn, if I stake this, I can get 5% yield on this, right? And I kind of feel like I'm losing 5% a year by holding that token because I'm not staking it. Would you feel that type of way if you're holding something like Hyperliquid or Ethereum, or maybe you're just like, the risk isn't worth it?
So I think it depends on the token you're talking about, right? Something like Ethereum, definitely. If you have a lot of it, you
feel like
that.
you're losing 6%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But like then you kind of go down the risk curve, right? Actually, the risk curve is what you use for that, in my opinion, because like something like Hyperliquid is still like it's the, you know, new, I don't know, hot cheerleader or whatever for this cycle, right? And so exactly. So but she is new, and you don't know if she's crazy. And so you don't know, you know, if it's gonna go south real quick. And so but I do think that like they have shown enough success and institutional interest to where I would take that risk to stake. You know what I mean? Because staking has a risk. You know, it has a risk of the price like dumping hard while you're locked up. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the way I look at it. And for newcomers into the space, like staking can be a great opportunity, but you know, we've learned from our time that we put into the market that staking everything in a lock situation isn't always the best opportunity. So you got to really break that down. And so I do think that, Ethereum, and I would say probably Hyperliquid is on that edge there of where I would feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah, 100%. And then it goes into, is this a cycle play? Like, are you holding Ethereum to dump it at the top? Or are you holding Ethereum for 10 years? Are you holding Hyperliquid to dump at the top? Or do you plan on holding Hyperliquid for 10 years? If you can say, yes, I plan on holding for 10 years, then it doesn't matter. Lock it up, stake it, right? But if you're saying I want to sell this at the top, do not stake it, because you're not going to ever hit the top. And then you're going to hate yourself because it's locked. And you're going to blame that instead of blaming yourself for not dumping it. So it's kind of the best of both worlds there. So it's one of those things where I just want to get your mindset on something like that. So let's move along, though. So the next part of this is Altseason Index jumps from 67% from 29 last month, signaling stronger altcoin momentum. And I did have a chart for that right here. Let me actually show it right here. All right, so this is the chart, and you can see we're at 67%. And then, just in September 6th, we were down here. What do you think about this Altseason Index? Is this something to kind of follow and pay attention to?
Yes, I think so. The yearly high and low. Okay, so if we're going 12 months, and I actually have like the full blown chart if you want me to share that one where I can kind of talk about it. Yeah. Let me bring it up here. All right. You can see here. So today is the 64. It was 67 late last night, but it's kind of fluctuating between like, low to mid 60s. But you can see, 12 months prior, this is a 12-month range. I guess the all-time high was 87 in December 3rd of 2024, which we know that like a lot of these blue chips were thriving and stuff like that at that time. But I expect it to be higher earlier this year, because we're already at like 67 yesterday, 64 today, just because it's a little bit of a pullback. So I would expect to reach or surpass the 87 and probably like earliest probably some point in October, latest I would say probably middle of November, latest, very late. That'll be late because this is supposedly the bull run Q4. Again, though, we're going to learn a lot about this current administration, the effects of everything, because going up to this year, it's been really Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the blue chips kind of thriving here and there. And we're going to see if we get a true aggressive Q4 that we're expecting, right? So yeah, I've been watching this. I think it's something to pay attention to, because once we start to get close to here, then you remember where, you know, prices were around this time, you know, last year, right? December of last year. And you had ADA hitting really good highs, XRP, Solana hit an all-time high. And now we're going to probably see some crazy stuff from like BNB hitting $1,000. We'll see that kind of stuff. But I do expect that to happen a bit earlier, because we still need some time for some of these unknown mid caps, micro caps to kind of have their time to jump up as well if we're going to have a true alt season.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's crazy. Like, I'm learning about all these charts now that I didn't know about 4 years ago, right? And this is another one that's kind of could signal you know, where we're going in the next few weeks. And it does seem like we're about to head into an alt season, bro. From this chart, do you think so?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously trending up, right? Yeah. I know for some people it doesn't feel like it, but you got to remember, these blue chips have to really be thriving first. For you to kind of, you know, there's a lot of risk on plays that people are waiting on. They're waiting for their bags to expand and get, you know, go up. But these blue chips first have to be aggressive. And we're starting to see some of them one by one. Solana, BNB hitting all-time highs. We don't ever talk about that, because it's, we do sometimes on the show, but like the space just kind of ignores it while it's hitting all-time highs each and every day. And, you know, they have their sights set on $1,000, right? And they're not that far away from it. I want to say like $120 or something away from that. And so once you start to see that happen, people are going to start talking about BNB crossing $1,000, you know, maybe getting to 1,100, 1,200. Solana, you know, possibly hitting, you know, getting close to 300 and getting higher and stuff like that. Then once people start to make profit, the whales, if we're in this risk on environment from the Fed putting us into this rate cut, you know, buying some of the market up and, you know, trying to stimulate the economy by way of investments in the stock market and everything like that, you know, then we'll probably see some of those mid caps and lower micro caps thrive. Another thing to think about too, I know that this is kind of going to be a little bit on the conspiracy side, but we're going to see if those claims about the U.S. aid kind of money being used to pump, you know, the stock market, and, you know, that trickles over to the crypto market, if that really has any type of effect, being that like that has been kind of cut off or cut down, you know, and see what happens. But you know that these institutions are greedy whenever it's time to be greedy. They're very good at that, and they're good at making money. So I imagine regardless that they're going to pump these majors up, and starting from the stock market, like the S&P, the NASDAQ, and then the big companies, you know, the NVIDIAs, the Apples, all those things start to thrive. And, you know, the current administration is going to brag about it. And if they're bragging about it and people are feeling better, that's whenever I think like the crypto market will also thrive alongside, you know, TradFi as well. And then we go into 2026 and we'll see what happens then.
Yeah, man, 100%. It's exciting times to be in crypto for sure, even though it doesn't feel like that on a day-to-day basis. 100%. Let's jump into a TK update real quick. So TK's vault is now closed. 5.3% of the entire supply has been locked for 90 days. So big deal here. You're not really seeing the effects in the price right now. You are seeing the price kind of be kind of flat here, but I mean, I was expecting that because of like dog and stuff really hasn't moved either. So it is one of those things where not much buying over here. We see one buy in the last 20 hours, but in order for that stuff to happen, we do need the runes to take off, because at the end of the day, TK is a rune and it will follow the rest of them. And you are seeing dog down 2%, and a lot of the other ones really not even really be trading. I mean, barely any trades on any of these. I mean, the volume for Gizmo was $300, right? So having $30 of volume doesn't really bother me that much, right? Especially when Gizmo kind of earned itself as, you know, a top six rune here. So, but not really concerned about it. Very excited, and we will have. If you are an Ordinal Revolution Pass holder, you will have an opportunity to stake as well. You will have 10 days from the time it starts. I think it starts today. Raul is working on it as we speak. So that'll be probably out. We'll go over it tomorrow when it is out. So you'll have about 10 days to stake your Ordinal Revolution Pass. That is our old pass from back when, but we want to support the people who support us. So we'll be giving away some TK in that vault. But then what do you think? Next week, do you want to start another TK vault? do like a 100-day vault for some TK?
Yeah, we could do that.
TK for TK.
Yeah, TK for TK to earn more. Yeah, why not, right? I mean, you got to remember though, with runes in their ecosystem, there's the Kraken. Really, Kraken's bet big on them, and I think they're going to unleash a big Bitcoin memes, marketing kind of strategy when the time is right. And I think that's whenever like the TK type tokens and stuff are going to thrive. Staking in these kind of situations to where you're waiting till the market gets, stronger for that level of risk on, could be this, one of the smartest moves you make this cycle. So,
yeah. 100 days from now, things could be way different. So we're going to launch a new one next week, and want to just thank everyone who's been a part of the original staking vault. Absolutely amazing, guys. But let's kind of jump here. Oh yeah, we are giving away TK today. If you don't have any TK and you want to get ready to staking, we're going to be giving away 100,000 TK tokens to 3 separate people, and all you got to do is to put your X handle in the chat. And if you don't have, somebody hit me up and said, yo, I want to do this stuff, but I don't have access, then just put your Facebook.
Go get one.
We'll go get one. Just find a way to I can reach you if you win, because that's the hardest part. Is some people will just come in here and put TK with their YouTube handle, but I can't message a YouTube handle. I wish they actually add that. That actually would be really good. Now I think about it. But yeah, it would be great to be able to reach out to you after you won, because a lot of times, if I don't follow you, you can't DM us, right? We do that for a reason, otherwise our DMs will be absolutely insane. But you can, if you comment under one of my posts, I'll follow you and make sure we get the conversation going as well. So even if you don't put your Twitter handle, I'll still add you, but I definitely hope that you guys add a way for me to contact you if you win. But let's move along again. JPMorgan says institutional adoption for crypto is still in the early phases. This really got me bullish in the sense of JPMorgan, to me, they're saying they're still buying here. They're still buying. And so that is really a big deal. And, adoption takes a long time for these TradFi companies. They need, it's monkey see, monkey do, right? Over there. They don't do anything until their friends are doing it. So it is really cool to kind of see that, we're in the very, very early stages of crypto adoption. I mean, if you feel like you're late right now, you have no idea what's coming.
Absolutely. And you got to remember, we're in the phase that the institutions that are investing, whether they're just straight up investors from like the Silicon Valley type, or, the JP Morgans that are like, financial institutions that are trying to figure things out. They're trying to determine who are the Googles, the Amazons of this sector. That's how early we are, because you go back to those days, and when Jeff Bezos was trying to, pitch his company to investors and stuff in 94, 95, 96, 97, and, it wasn't an attractive investment, an online bookstore, you know what I mean? And they invested in his work ethic, I think, in his vision, which turned Amazon into what it is. But there was tons of people that were pundits, maybe people that didn't know a lot, maybe people that did know a lot, that were questioning, how is Google making revenue? How is Facebook making revenue? But it was all about the user base, right? So I think there's going to be some of that. It's like, okay, how can you capture the attention of the masses? And if you can, and whatever your platform is, the revenue will come. You know what I mean? Yep. The revenue will come. And I think that is going to be a part of it. Also, because this is more financially focused and specified versus just a regular Web 2 kind of industry, it's going to be about that as well. But they're going to, look at potential. They're going to look at revenue, and they're going to try to really start to pick. And once you start to hear like these household names start to come out in new headlines and things like that, then we've entered that Google, Facebook phase to where the speculation is there. You know what I mean? On what these are going to be billion-dollar companies, and they got those right. And sure, maybe you can say they got a couple of them wrong, but they were willing to roll the dice there, like Yahoo, for example. But Yahoo still makes hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, maybe billions. They own the fantasy football. We talked about that. The fantasy football market is dominated by them, right? And they get ad revenue from that. So, So I say all this stuff to say that we are definitely early, because they haven't even pointed out the Googles, the Facebooks, and all those things yet.
Yeah, and to your point too, you got to remember Amazon lived off of selling their stock for 10 years. Amazon was negative for 10 years in a row where they did not make money. But what they were doing is they were using all profits to add and develop
Roll back in.
profit and roll it back in. They were negative. They were negative for 10 years, living off of stock sales, right? They lived off stock sales. So Facebook too, exactly, right? They were negative for, and that's it. We're in that moment right now where you're looking at companies like, let's just say Magic Eden, for instance, who I think is going to be one of the biggest earners ever, right? Going into NFTs are going to be something you when you buy a house, you're buying, potentially buying it online, maybe through something like Magic Eden one day where you're buying NFTs, right? Who knows where everything's going to go? But like you said too, Amazon was a bookstore, now it's the everything store. Magic Eden, for instance, is an NFT marketplace, but who knows where they go from there? There's a lot of areas
in the AI sector.
I say Magic Eden, but I mean OpenSea, and then the AI sector with Agent Hustle, right? Who knows where that's going to go? Like, it's just one of those things where it's like we're so early, but it feels so good because I just know we're in the right place at the right time.
AI reminds me of e-commerce. So e-commerce in those early days, people were like the biggest issue, like the concept was easy. It's like, okay, your life will be easy. You can just order on your computer. But then the logistics of inventory and shipping and all that stuff, it killed pets.com. It killed a couple of these because they didn't realize how hard it was. But the ones that were able to get through that, and then the Amazons and the eBays and these huge. And then there was like hundreds and thousands more e-commerce sites that still do like hundreds of millions in revenue, a year and stuff. I feel like AI is there. So it's like they're figuring it out, and you can see the ones that are the most advanced. And I feel like Hustle's in a really good spot. You might have like Banker and some of these others that are like in the front right now, but it's so early that like mainstreams aren't talking about them yet because it's early for that part of the development. But as we know, like, that the Hustle team is, I feel like they're C-class executives. I know they're a small team, but they're set up in a really good spot, and that leadership from Jake is going to be huge. And that's not just because of the partners of ours. We know some stuff that you guys are going to find out in terms of, what they're working on, working on.
Yeah. With no insider information there at all. It's more of a sense of the, we're hearing.
They're trying to go cross chain and stuff like that.
And they say it here every Friday, right? They say here every single Friday. They're really open about what they do, and they're okay with talking price. And tomorrow we're actually going to be joined by Jake. So let's just kind of get into that a little bit. So Farewell Keys was an article that they put out yesterday. I was actually shocked that they put this out. I know Jake was kind of hinting to that last time he was on, but now we're kind of getting to a point where let's kind of jump right into that. So Emblem Vault, Farewell Keys, Hello Hustle. After months of careful deliberation and observing the evolving Bitcoin and Emblem Vault ecosystem, we have made a decision to indefinitely postpone the planned Emblem Vault Keys token. So it's something that we've been talking about for a while on the show. At the end of the show, if you go all the way to the end there, we usually say, hey, if you're interested in getting the Emblem Vault, well, those vaults have been discontinued. But if you did get that vault, you can obviously go get a refund from them if you want to, or you can get their main token, which is Hustle. So basically, if you walk through this, they basically say, hey, Hustle is our main, our main focus right now. Agent Hustle, migrate.fun. So now we used to say 2 projects, 1 token. Now, technically, there's 3 projects, including Emblem Without Vision, all wrapped in the Hustle. Hustle just got a lot bigger in the sense of, the powerhouse that it is and will be.
Yeah. Exactly. I think this was the right move. And, I know there's a good portion of our audience that is from the Bitcoin ecosystem. And look, it's I don't think this is a complete, statement saying that runes are not a success. I just think that, first of all, consolidating was smart, not having 2 tokens for confusion, right? And the momentum is with Hustle right now, and Hustle is going to be cross-chain anyways. So it makes sense for Hustle to be the main token. So if you did buy an Emblem Vault NFT, please reach out to Jake Gallen on X and message him and let him know that you need to switch your vault out with Hustle, because that is actually the next process for people that do have these Emblem Vault NFTs. You are going to get Hustle instead, which to me, Hustle has the momentum in terms of everybody's looking at them. everybody wants to be a part of them, and the team is just flowing. Like, and Emblem is a part of the team. Emblem is kind of, you know, it's the legacy kind of that parent kind of brand. But man, what's happening with Hustle and Migrate.fun and all the stuff that's possibly coming in the future is just you cannot not be bullish about it.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, Hustle has $1 million in liquidity, right? Like that's the thing too. It's like Runes have no liquidity at all. Hustle has 967,000 in liquidity, and the price action yesterday jumped to 18 million, back down to 15 with some trader games happening. But it is following. I set this line up in late August, and it's just been following my line here.
Wow,
almost
August,
perfect,
man.
dude. So it's just one of those things where, yeah, man, it was like right around here. I started making this line, and I was like, phew, and it's just been up. I thought, I was like, damn, my lines broke, but then it came back down, and dude, it touched perfectly. Up, touched. It actually dropped below it, faked me out a little bit, and then it got right back into it. And I do think potentially we're going to see something, especially right now, that kind of shows you maybe something like this, taking us to 30-40 million by, you know, mid-October.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, these are Hustle's one of the projects that I was talking about that is kind of that, you know, it's a micro cap right now, but one of the projects that has the opportunity to really thrive once the blue chips start to, you know, have these new all-time highs and then it trickles down and people are looking for new opportunities. And it is going to come down to, I do truly think that there's going to be these Silicon investors and, you know, the institutional investors that are looking for projects that currently have revenue and maybe have this revenue buyback program. And, you know, Jay Gallen's been all about that even before this new SEC, but obviously you couldn't do it before because of, you know, the fear of being listed as being painted as a security. Right. So now that that's kind of out of the window, there's this going to be this huge opportunity. And so you see the playbook that Hyperliquid has put out, and they're about to run this playbook back with multiple revenue generating parts of their business. So I'm excited for them, man. They deserve it. They've been working hard. Shannon, the main dev that started all of this, has been working hard since I think 2015 in terms of building his own kind of business and putting his stamp into the space, and bringing Jake and Adam into that team has just made it better. And now that they've kind of set these permanent roles for the main players, I think now that the sky's the limit for them.
100%. And we're going to do a full breakdown on this tomorrow with Jake at 12:30. He'll be joining us live. So if you have any questions or anything, come hang out with us tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to go paragraph by paragraph. I'm going to ask him some serious questions about this, really kind of get his opinion on where he thinks things are going to be going, and maybe some huge statements as well, because I know he's good at that. So, but let's jump along here. SEC Chair Paul Atkins says that the agency will ensure capital gain be raised on chain. Capital can be raised on chain. So he's basically saying right now, hey, you guys been doing these, initial coin offerings or ICOs for a long time. We're not going to get away, and we're not going to get away with that. Like in that, we're not going to get, we're not going to involve ourselves. And you guys keep doing what you're doing. How do you feel about Paul Atkins, the SEC Chair, basically giving us the green flag and saying, hey, if you want to degen, go degen?
Well, I'm not sure if that's the statement. I think the statement is that, like, we are going to give you guys support in keeping the on-chain capital raise process, but maybe, putting some safeguards in place and stuff like that.
That's true.
That is my assumption. That is my speculation, but I can't imagine that they won't do that, because I was just thinking, from a traditional investor, Silicon Valley traditional investor, right? How do you handle coins? And, how do you, what's the approach? Because there's been this kind of hybrid approach for like Series A raises or different levels of raises that, people in the Bitcoin ecosystem, some partners of ours, have accomplished. And, that's awesome. But how are the coins going to be looked at? And that specific example I gave you, they don't have a coin yet. But, I know that's all, in the plans, and there's some that do have coins. And how do these investors look at coins? How do they look at traditional investing? Do they encourage these companies that aren't public to go public? You know what I mean? So I think there's this a little bit of murkiness. You know what I mean? It's a little bit muddied right now, but I think they solve that. I think they get clarity because those investors need that clarity. How do we look at coins? Do we look at them as lesser than stock shares? Do we kind of look at the same level? Do we kind of combine that? And do we just make it, digital assets and coins are considered shares or whatever? I'm curious on your perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Now, like hearing you back here, you're right. He's not giving us the green flag to say go nuts. He's kind of saying, we're gonna make sure that the way you do it isn't really adjusted, but the people doing it are actually vetted. Is that kind of your point there a little bit as well?
That and some safeguards in there. So,
yeah.
Maybe some of the practices from TradFi come over, but not to completely, lose the essence of, the on-chain experience, right? So I think what they're trying to do is figure out a good balance to where they don't feel like they're being overly invasive, overreach type of, they're trying to avoid that. But at the same time, having the investor feel comfortable and be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, that's true too. No, 100%. I completely agree. Yeah. So it's nice, dude. It's nice to have someone like Paul Atkins. I think he was the right pick for the job right now. Do you see him changing at all? Do you see that's what the people I'm hearing talk about. They're like, don't trust this guy. He's making it sound like everything is, this way, but don't watch what they say, watch what they do.
Yeah. I mean, big money changes everything, right? TradFi, they had this system that was built over time, and obviously, as things got digitized in the 90s and 2000s, they kind of came along with that and adopted, and you could trade online and all these things, but they had their system and they had their kind of who says what goes, right? You have your SEC and then CFTC, really probably not as much. But SEC pretty much was, the ones that were creating the framework. And then you had the big players like Ken Griffin from Citadel, and you have probably 4 more people like that in the industry that really make sure that they are dominating in what they do, whether that's market making, whether that's providing liquidity or whatever. So do I think that we need to watch for them? Yes, but more for educational purposes instead of there's not much we can do. You know what I'm saying? It's more of like learning the game. And I still think that that's a big opportunity because it's like being at the forefront of whenever the stock market was being formed, except for we're in the digital age. So it'd be like if the stock market was being formed in the late 90s, early 2000s, and we were there to kind of see who are the big players, who are the ones that are pulling the strings, who are these things, how does this work? Okay, they have that edge over there, but there's still an opportunity for the everyday trader for this area right there. I think that's where the focus should be because we're not, even collectively, the founders of Gemini and Coinbase and stuff, they're big money too. So they're gonna mold in to these guys, you know what I mean? Yeah. But because we're in that early process, we can still have big opportunity and learn the system as it's being formed.
100%. Yeah, love that you finished it with big opportunity because that's what it is right now. There's huge opportunity for everyone right now in these markets. Solana Trenches traders back at it, trading headlines. But did they go too far with the push for justice for Charlie and Iryna? So let me just show you guys kind of with me if you're not. So these were the tokens that are trending yesterday. You saw a couple different Kirk tokens, Charlie, and then you see Iryna down here. But, I want to get your opinion on this. But first, I kind of want to say, like, Solana Trenches trade headlines, no matter what that headline is. So, but I'm curious of your opinion on this. And, by me saying that, does that change your thought process at all? They're going to trade every headline, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I mean, so I think there's a couple things here. And a lot of it has to do with groups that are forming with the same perception, right? So majority, if you look at crypto Twitter, majority say that wasn't probably cool to take it, take advantage of that headline to trade on with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And then you go back, let's say you go back a month ago, and Hulk Hogan passed away, and people took advantage of that.
Yeah.
I think that there's a difference in the passing. One is celebratory of someone that lived like a long life and he was a legend and all that stuff. So coins can be celebrated in that way. And I think if a lot of people are mourning, and that goes with Kobe too, because Kobe's the tricky one, but the way Kobe passed was a mournful way. You know, it was like with the helicopter crash and all that stuff. And so that's why I bring that up in the card and collectible hobby industry. So, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to perception and groups of people that form the similar perception. And it was obvious. This was probably like a 80 to 85 to 20 to 15% ratio that I saw on my timeline, that, you know, people were annoyed of, you know, and it kind of does roll into like the extreme degeneracy of the space of Solana meme coin trading, which I don't have a problem with Solana meme coin trading at like the root of the idea of it. Like, you know, I feel like once we kind of got past dog with hat, and maybe it's almost, honestly, man, is almost kind of like once the Trump coin launched, it went to another level of degeneracy. But that is my personal opinion, and people are allowed to have that, and they are allowed to have opposing opinions and stuff, right? So I think a couple people, you know, and the expectation probably should right now be like extreme degeneracy of the Solana Trenches and the community, because we got to a point on Pump Fun where people were streaming like putting poop all over their face, like actual feces, right? Or I think someone took their own life. Maybe, I don't know if that was legitimate or not. Okay, and so then you see like a large account on X. You know, I thought that was going too far. You know, I'm not going to reread what he put, but I'm talking about Rasmer, and you know, I did think he went too far. That is like the extent of kind of the degeneracy level that Solana meme coin trenches have, right? And I feel like that's probably, as you know, that's like the level of like as far as it can go, because I put that on the same line as like someone putting feces all over themselves, or like, you know, like that's pretty like mental health issues, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean 100%. But you got to remember though, these are the same people who ran an anti-Semitic word to $10 million. The same people who did an anti-race word, right? Something that in the US is frowned upon, no matter who you are, except if you are from that race, right? So it's one of those things where it's kind of like these are the same people doing the same shit, and we're kind of sitting here and kind of saying like, they should stop. But like, you know what I mean?
The outcry was different though.
It was. You're right.
When you look at the outcry,
I don't know, when they ran up the anti-Semitic word.
No, I agree. I think that the people gave pushback for sure, but it wasn't this, like I'm seeing like 80 to 20, like 85 to 15.
Yeah.
And today it seems like some people are coming out on the opposite side a little bit, just a little bit. But it's like if you have 80% of all of crypto Twitter going in one direction, you're probably not in the right group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 50-50, okay, you know, that's a tough one there. But if it's like the ratio is that overwhelming, which, you know, these people took down their posts and stuff like that. But of course, like whatever happens on the internet seems to stay there forever. And I'm not saying that these guys shouldn't get second chances and all that stuff. I think I did kind of go a little bit harsh yesterday. Not super hard, but like, you know, saying that, you know, keeping them relevant, you're part of the problem
too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's tough on anybody. So I don't blame when you're there, but like a day after looking back, I see your point.
Yeah, because like I believe, you know, for the majority part, like, I mean, you know, I have a faith, and so I believe in forgiveness and stuff, but like, you know, everybody's human, so I'm sure someone can push me to the point, do something to my family or something to where it's like really hard to forgive them, right? I don't think this is that situation, because it's not like that, but you know, I think he probably learned from that, because he took it down pretty quick.
Yeah, 100%. Woo. All right. So my last part of this would be, this continues, right? We're going to be talking about this in a few months. They're going to continue. Like when you're anon on the internet, you feel like you're invincible, right? So it's one of those things where this probably should be something we expect going forward.
But this happened to some people that aren't ANON is the problem.
That's
like two
true.
people specifically that have big followings, and they got beat up yesterday for that. And but the ANON people, that's the thing. And you and I had a little bit of a philosophical discussion about this in terms of, because I see where you were coming from in terms of, like, you know, our space is very, you know, much about money making first and all these things. And I mean, it's a financial market, right? But it's because of there's so much anonymous, so many anonymous figures in our space, they don't have to suffer from any social credit backlash.
No backlash,
exactly, zero. And so it will always stay money above every single thing because of that, unless the space changes. And I said the only way that the space changes is really, which I think there's a possibility it happens, is this big, huge money moves in and they start to determine what's valuable and what's not. And because I will tell you this, that like big financial institutions, big brands, trusted brands like PayPal, they're very trusted, stuff like that. They won't put up with anonymous associations. So what, in my opinion, will happen is these big, huge trusted brands that come in, or big brands that become trusted, will have to, if they partner with somebody, that partner is now has a liability percentage against them, right? So they'll have to know everything about them. And we've seen that happen with, you know, content creators like BitBoy and stuff like that, where brands dropped him, or and in the real life too, like, you know, Kanye had brands drop him and stuff like that. And so that happens, in my opinion, more and more as bigger money moves here. I'm talking about when we're talking about trillions versus lower billions of the kind of anon market. I always think the casino will exist, but it will be like how casinos are today. And that is kind of in their own little corner. People will visit them from time to time, but it won't be the main focus like it has been in our space in the next, you know, 2, 4, 6 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think these coins will be less and less going to $1 billion, right? The fart coins of the world and stuff like that, they're going to get fewer and fewer happenings because there's going to be real association with real products and stuff like that. That's probably going to come from you know, the bigger guys coming in space and people seeing opportunity to get in early.
Yeah, and also I still think meme coins will be a thing though, but they'll be like the Pengu meme coins. You know what I mean? To where you have Luca Nets that's you know, behind it, and he's you know, institutions want to invest in him.
Be like toys today, like Beanie Babies and stuff like that. Yeah. I gotcha. Let's move along here. So Hyperliquid at global scale, Paxos USDH proposal. So this was a big deal because you know, Hyperliquid came out and said, hey, we want a stable coin on here. We have this USDH token, and we're gonna be giving this to a company that wants to run this for us. Paxos, who already runs PYUSD, they used to run the BUSD token, which is the Binance stablecoin. They said, hey, we want to be a part of this. They actually reached out to Kraken. And people are saying they bribed Kraken, and Kraken offered to list Paxos issued USDH stablecoin with free USD on and off ramps, including Hype token from day one. So Kraken is saying, hey, if you let Paxos do this, we will list USDH right away. So there is no bridging no more. If they list the USDH, you can go to Kraken, get USDH, and immediately be on Hyperliquid with the withdrawal, right? Pending approval through Kraken standard listing review first. They have to make sure everything's good, but it will be because this Paxos has legitimacy and PYUSD is already on Kraken, right? So it's one of those things where Kraken's like throwing their hat in and saying, hey, not only will PayPal potentially list this this USDH token and have an on-ramp, off-ramp, but we will do it also. If you're Hyperliquid, does this make a big difference to you?
Well, I mean, if I'm just concerned about having a strong stable coin, absolutely makes a big difference, right? Even if I'm not, because that's what the situation would be. I'm not running it. Paxos is in charge of that.
Yep.
But I'm thinking that they're wondering if they do have a more native builder under them, right?
Yeah.
Can they benefit more? And would Kraken offer that same offer to a more native? And I don't think they will, because like Kraken obviously is offering this because they have some sort of relationship with Paxos, right?
Paxos is paying them, probably doing something with
Okay.
them. Paxos wants this because there's going to be about $250 billion potentially that they're going to be able to make 3 to 4% off these treasury notes, right? So that's why Paxos wants this so badly, because they want that 4% off, someone else's money, right? All they're doing is holding it. But there are companies in there saying, hey, we're gonna get this, and we're gonna just buy back and burn the hype token, and that benefits the entire ecosystem. So it's kind of like on and off ramps, or number go up for the hype token.
Yeah, and so the on and off ramp free USD is a similar situation, I think, to what Circle has with Coinbase. So if you do USDC, you don't get charged
zero.
Whenever, you get charged zero. So that's the offer here, which they'll save money, or their users will save money too. Yeah, so I think Hyperliquid probably has some hard decisions to make, right? I think you mentioned, and maybe you got this later in the show, but that they're thinking about doing the native stable token now, right?
Yeah, they want to benefit the hype token. So this is going to be something. This is going to be voted by people who have the hype token, right? So, but obviously the Hype Foundation with the CEO Jeff, he has, they have the most tokens, right? Out of it, so they'll have majority. Well, I think it's like 20 and 30%. They don't have fit enough, but they have enough to kind of push the vote in a direction that they're in. So it's one of those things where, what would you do though? Let's just say you were Jeff from Hyperliquid. Would you go with something like Paxos, who you're going to have on and off ramps with PayPal, but they're going to pocket that yield, that 4% yield for themselves, or would you go with something native that's going to buy back and burn the hype token?
Is Paxos a U.S. company?
Paxos is. They're based out of New York. Yes.
I wonder if that's what's kind of giving them a little hesitation, is because technically they could be ordered to do something, right? So because they're going to follow the Genius
same
Act.
They have with Binance. They had the Binance token, right?
Yeah,
BUSD.
So maybe they want to have more control and less possible like third party control, but that was the whole point of going with the third parties. They didn't want all that responsibility. But can we just kind of appreciate the masterclass business rollout that Hyperliquid has done?
I know.
I mean, it's been a masterclass. They've had one slip up from an attack that came from a trader that was in their system that we think that was planned and schemed, but they handled it, and since then they've been pretty hands-on and staying away from controversy for the most part. But man, just the whole buyback program that they have and the whole strength that they're showing it's attracting U.S. investors and institutions to the point to where they're kind of they're sitting back a little bit and saying, hey, I have options. You know what I mean? Like, so they have to decide what they're going to do here. And I'm sure that, and it's cool that they're making this a governance decision. But yeah, the whales are going to try to benefit themselves, and being the founders has to feel great, because like, you're not constantly being bitched at about the price of your token. You're making enough fees to be able to buy back your token, and also probably live a nice life in Singapore, and you're building that token up, the equity for like a future. So, like it's like Bezos in his future. I'm not saying that they're the same size, but in his future Amazon stocks, right? Like he's obviously yeah, this is a good situation. And they're in a good situation.
A portion of the fees too goes into stable coins, which stable coins add liquidity to your exchange, right? The more stable coins you have, because that's the one thing about perp DEX that people don't understand, is it's not like a Uniswap where there's pairs. They just need to have as much cash as possible. So a lot of these fees, right, when they have the USDC and stuff like that, they keep it on the chain. So as the chain grows, they're gonna have more and more liquidity, because I don't think anything actually goes to Jeff and the foundation, right? I think they just kind of earn by number go up as well, right? I could be wrong with this, but normally with decentralized companies, it's more just about it kind of like, everything kind of goes back into itself, right? Because there is nobody who's going to go buy a mansion with it or buy cars with it. It just keeps building, and that's why there is so much liquidity already over there on the Hype blockchain.
Yeah, and they're probably already, working with consultants and stuff that they probably brought in and looking for different channels of revenue, because that's what happens. That's the next level of growth, right? You look at the Web 2 world. I mentioned this before. Google started off as just search engine with paid ads that moved to, acquiring other companies and also having, different type of offerings, right? And so their AI offering right now is a product. They probably have like 20 different products. And a lot of them we don't even know that's Google. So Hyperliquid and these bigger Web3 companies are probably working with consultants that have had success with like Web2 growth, or because this is the next level of evolution in our space. It's like, how can a dominant monster that Stan recognizes, you see that in the comments, Hyperliquid is a monster. They are a monster, but they're only doing perps right now, really, in spot and futures. But what else can they do? What else are they about to enter in that those are the huge real monsters when it comes to corporations and stuff.
And I'm expecting, a pump fund launchpad. I'm expecting borrowing and lending. I'm expecting them to eventually be a one-stop shop to where you can do anything with any token because it's wrapped, right? Let's just say you have Bitcoin over there. You can borrow against your Bitcoin.
Institutional Bitcoin staking. Those are going to be products, right?
Yes, 100%. So we'll see. We'll see what comes from that. But let's move along here. A couple more things before we get into the crypto agreement feed and greed. But this is Trump-backed WLFI introduces Project Wings in collaboration with Bonkfun Raydium. Dude, how huge is that? Offering promotional rewards for USD1 trading pairs on Bonkfun and Raydium to support broader stablecoin adoption. So this is really smart, in my opinion, for WLFI. And for Bonkfun. Bonkfun now, all the pairs will be done in USD1 instead of USDC. This is a big deal for Bonkfun. This legitimizes, in my opinion, Bonkfun as a really, really powerful player in the Launchpad game.
So all pairs, or are they're still going to have Solana pairs, right?
Just all new pairs will be in USD1, and they're going to try to get the people to switch, because obviously right now, if you're not going to like destroy your liquidity pool to switch out, right? But all new pairs going forward will be in USD1.
Why would you want to do that right now, though? Because like Solana,
no, I'm saying all new pairs. So
no, I know, but I'm saying is like where Solana is about to head into like an upward trajectory. But I mean, this is obviously some sort of partnership.
You're going to earn. You're going to earn promotional rewards from doing this. So
I mean, and it makes it stable.
You're right, because it's all in Solana, right? Then what are the pools that are in USD1? Then
it's going to be half of their token and half USD1.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, half of their soul token, their SPL.
So maybe going forward, then it will stay all Solana, and I'm thinking that they're going to encourage people to add liquidity in USD1.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Because
okay.
Typically, the native token will be paired with a new token, but then you can add more liquidity. And so doing that. It's probably this is like the promotional way for them to encourage people to add USD1. But I mean, for them to get that kind of partnership or like affiliation, I think is pretty big. WLFI has been kind of I think WLFI has been, our space overreacts a lot, right?
Yes.
To the upside and to the downside.
Everything.
Yeah. And so I think the WLFI overreaction has been pretty crazy. Like it's like, yes, it did dump from a certain point, but do you think that's going to go to zero? You think that's going to really no? Like there's so many different entities tied to it. I think it's going to be strong down the line. You just got to have 100%. Patience for it.
100%. The final thing here: Avalanche Foundation is in talks with investors to set up 2 U.S. digital asset treasuries, or DATs, companies aiming to raise $1 billion to buy millions of AVAX at a discount. The AVAX tokens will be sold directly from the AVAX Foundation reserve, so it won't really necessarily affect the price. But AVAX is about to walk into potentially $1 billion in liquid stable coins that they're going to be able to, invest in themselves, right? So think about this for a second. So there's going to be 2 companies coming out. They're going to sell stock to buy the AVAX token off the foundation. The foundation will turn around and give grants and to builders and potentially build their chain even further with investment. directly from these two DATs. This is incredibly thought out, in my opinion, and it's basically them, the Avalanche Foundation itself being like, we're about to unlock a lot of new builders coming into the space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shocked. The connections that the foundation probably has with, let's be real, probably some regulatory institutions, the administration, those kind of things. Like, they're set up.
JD Vance, big part of this.
Yeah, right.
Opinion.
So they're set up to have success. Some of these are set up more to have success. Some of them are going to have to work harder to get there, and some of them aren't going to make it. That's just the painful truth, right? And Avalanche, in my opinion, is set up for success.
Do you expect price to run up here for AVAX?
I do. Yeah. It's going to be institutional influence, though. Some retail whales that got, that really believed in them. Maybe some lower level retail people that, bought into them a couple years ago, last cycle, whatever. But I don't see like a whole brand new slew of just retail investors coming in for AVAX. But I see their price going up because I think institutions are going to come and pump it up, and I think, they're going to get that support, the capital and liquidity support. And once you start to do that, and then we'll see what kind of products come out of AVAX, because I think the next phase is really going to be product focused for our space, especially these chains that don't have a ton of meme coin trading volume. So many people are focused on that, including ourselves. I think we get lost in that sometimes, but that's not the focus of these founders of Avalanche and all these other chains. Maybe new chains that are wanting to be noticed. They want that meme coin volume and all that. But I think the focus of someone like Avalanche and HBAR and all these things is like, okay, we have all this institutional backing, and then now we got to just really start to ship badass products that make people's lives better. And I think we're going to go into that phase, and that's going to be, in my opinion, I think that's going to be an awesome phase because you're going to see some really cool innovations.
You know what I see potentially? I see Avalanche reaching out to products like Agent Hustle and saying, all right, what's it going to take for you to build here? And potentially, what's it going to take you for to build here only? We have that kind of money now, right?
Yeah.
So, like, we'll give you $2 million if you make Avalanche the chain for Agent Hustle or something like that. Obviously, there's other ones out there as well. I'm just using Agent Hustle as an example, but you're potentially going to see them kind of contact some of these builders and say, Avalanche only. We want that to happen. So I can see stuff like that happening as well. And you have to remember, two of the biggest dApps, two of the biggest innovations as well happened on Polygon of all places, right? Polygon has, the biggest marketplace ever, which is Poly Markets, right? Even though it is just a predictions market, but still, I mean, it's huge. And then you have something like Courtyard, which is an RWA cards and stuff like that type of product where you can buy packs and stuff like that. And that's the problem. There hasn't been any innovation in crypto. I mean, besides the launch pads, which the launch pads, it just seems so easy. It's like, hey, when you launch, we're just gonna give you a liquidity pool off the bat. Like, why wasn't this something we had 4 years ago? I don't know. But the innovation, has not been here.
But
the last 2 years.
Well, so Courtyard built 4 years ago, and I think Poly Market built maybe 2-3 years ago, maybe even before that. But they put their conviction was there, right? And then they had some institutional investments come in. So we see some of that with some of the Bitcoin ecosystem. So 2 years down the line, 4 years down the line, who knows? What the space is going to look like. But you're right. The funny thing is I know Poly Market gets so much shine, and they deserve it because they do tons of volume or whatever their volume is, right? Courtyard has been like a quiet kind of, you got to know about cards and look for that, but they're still pushing out revenue 15 million to 20 million a week, right? On a chain that doesn't do a ton of volume, Polygon. So that's my point, is that like those type of companies, that's who I think Silicon Valley investors are looking for right now, and they're willing to wait 2-4 years for that. But chains like Hedera, chains like Avalanche, they're getting the institutional investment and backing to find these guys, to be able to find, like it was Polygon this time when the market wasn't even ready for something like that. Imagine whenever the market is ready, like, what I mean? Like they were building whenever there was uncertainty with like regulatory entities, right? So imagine now who is building what, whenever it's easy, you're not looking over your shoulder every second.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm not doing enough research. Like I was thinking about it yesterday. I was looking, I was like, what AI companies could really explode? And then I go to CoinGecko, I hit categories, and I see, I see 800 potential 800 AI companies that I never heard of. And I'm sitting here because the only reason we knew about Courtyard back in February when we found it was because we're building something that could have potentially affect that, right? Like, so it was like, oh, look at this company. But isn't it crazy how we didn't hear about Courtyard like last year?
That's what I'm
saying.
saying. That's what I'm saying,
wild, man. It's wild.
But because they also knew. So I think Courtyard is a perfect case study because they had conviction 4 years ago that trading cards and like Pokemon, sports cards, whatever collectibles are going to be digitized, and they weren't alone. Panini, which was the largest manufacturer of sports cards, which they got bought by Fanatics, and so anyways, they were in that camp. NBA Top Shot was different. It was a video kind of highlights thing, collectibles. I feel like that was more. It's not even about the centralization. I think the product too was they were trying something. And I just don't think that that's going to work that well. I think it worked because there was so much money to go around that people were willing to risk on anything. But majority of the people, even Panini, because the timing was wrong. It was 2021, 2022. Panini went full in and they went into a digital product solely. But what Courtyard's vision was a digital product backed by the physical good. And they kept building through the ups and downs of the hard time. And, they also went after the non-Web3 market. If you travel into these sports card collectible conventions and stuff, they have a vending machine, Courtyard vending machine at a lot of them, a lot of the big ones. And that's the approach. That's the winner right there. The people that you can onboard that aren't Web3 native already, we're the nerds. We're the ones that like mess with this stuff when we're trying to figure it out with MetaMask in 2020 and 2021. Like majority of people don't have patience for that. They're not passionate about like the digital asset space like we are. We're here because we're passionate about it. We're still here because we also know there's opportunity. But most of the world, you got to meet them and bring them here and say, this is why it's more convenient. And Courtyard's doing an amazing job with that. And so those are the type of companies that are the billion-dollar companies. Now you also have different categories like new innovative tech, which like Agent Hustle, Banker and stuff are taking advantage of AI. And that's a whole nother ball game. That's like I said, like the beginning parts of e-commerce, right? So yeah, you're absolutely right in terms of research. It's different now, and the channels are going to change, in my opinion. Instead of just being like, oh, your next 10,000x meme coin, that's what used to draw in the get rich quick people and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be more sophisticated research. It's going to be more substantive research. I can't say that word, but anyways, and that's how I see the future of media in our space. Yes, there will be opportunities where you still can kind of have that gambling aspect. You can hit 1,000x and all that, whatever, but it won't be the main driver, and that has been the main driver the past 4-6 years.
Well, to us, right? I think to other people, you would say Bitcoin has been the main driver over the last 12 months, right? For people entering crypto for the first time.
But who has that been?
Well, that's TradFi, 100%. But that's the only thing that's really ran, right? Like Bitcoin has been the only dominant. I mean, there's been ordinals and launch pads have been innovation, but we're not being seen by like normal people, right? Normal people aren't seeing the stuff that we see on a daily basis. But yeah, when I see stuff like Avalanche Foundation, my door company comes to my head, dude. Where it's like, hey, if you see a door for sale, you can buy it as an NFT, and we will store it for you and deliver it for you when you burn your NFT. I don't know, dude. And like bathtubs.
What does that draw back to though? Convenience, meeting them where they are. You know what I mean? You're meeting them where they are instead of the whole approach to Web3, and some of it has to do with the regulatory stuff. I get that, but the whole approach for Web3 companies has been completely wrong, in my opinion. Because you're trying to say, hey, our product is so good, our offering is so good, they'll come to us. You know what I mean? But that only happened every 4 years when there was like the lotto chance of like hitting one of these like meme coins and stuff. For an industry to be sustainable, I think it has to be, every year there's like, like different opportunities in different industries. And I think we're going into that. So in a sense, we might have, I think there's going to be that, 1000x opportunity and stuff like that still, but we might have a bigger opportunity because it's more for like generational, pass down and learning and stuff, teaching your kids of how the market works.
Yeah, 100%. Jump into the next thing here, which is crypto fear and greed. So last week we were at 44. Yesterday we're at 43. We're higher than the 44, but not by too much. Where do you think we are at right now?
46.
Pretty much. It's 47, right there. I don't know, dude. This is freaking low. Like,
well, it's been
bothering me low.
Dude,
it bothers me.
Yeah, but it's been hopping around. But it has, to be fair, it has pretty much curbed the excitement the entire time.
Yeah.
I think, what was the highest that we've gone on this meter this year?
51, 54. Oh, this year?
Maybe 70.
We hit pockets of 70 in January.
But it took a lot to get there.
It did.
And the last time when Bitcoin got up to 124, or even before that, it was bullish too. I want to say like 60s, right? And we were just kind of like, gosh, when is it going to unleash?
I know,
right? And it's really curbed it, and I think it's curbed it because Bitcoin, Ethereum have thrived, and nothing else has really thrived this entire year. Yeah, you can say some of these blue chips have jumped up with Ethereum, but we haven't had those. Like, we haven't had one full month this year where it's been cruise like city. It's been easy as hell. We haven't had one full month this year. Maybe a week or 2 weeks where the trenches have been easier, but not one full month straight.
I was talking to someone recently, and he was saying how this year kind of reminded him of 2019. Besides Bitcoin, he's like, if you take Bitcoin out the equation, he's like, it feels like 2019. Basically saying like it was just like it was very similar to how it is now, where everything was so boring. And he was saying that on the sense of it just being so boring. So I was like, damn, yeah, it might be like I wasn't around in 2019, so I don't know this, but he's saying a lot of people from that cycle are very used to this type of year, and then next year potentially be that bull market year where we see January kind of be that explosion month going all the way into November, even having like a slight delay there. So I don't know. I don't really know. I'm hoping we get some excitement soon in this upcoming months here, but we'll see. But let's jump into some Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles brought to you by the great guys over at Artura.finance. Artura, guys, I can tell you about them or I can show you. I'd rather show you. I'm in a trade right now. Your boy's up $7.51. I am officially in that number one spot right here. That is me. I've done $296 in P&L over the last 2 days. My trades have been fire. I cannot miss, guys. I am stopping. Like I'll have a trade in. I'll take my profit. I'll go the other way for like 20 minutes, get $20, then go the other way. I've been on fire and I suck at trading. So I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop here and get some losses here. But what I might do is start using another wallet so I don't mess up my P&L here and I can regain that number one prize. But you right now can open a wallet on Botonics, put some Bitcoin in there, head over to Artura, and it's not much beating me. I mean, I'm only up $300 P&L. There's people that do that in a couple of hours, right? So it's one of those things where, but if you guys don't want to do it, that's fine with me. I'll be in first place and get my $5,000 in USDC stablecoins. But I'd rather somebody in our community, I'd rather one of you guys come in and take that from me, and I will congratulate you on the way out. But hey, if you don't, I'll take the money and I will go probably buy some tokens with that as well. Really excited for that. And remember, first prize is 5,000, and I think there's another 5,000 as well going to second and third place. And then someone is also going to be winning the ARA 20,000 ARA tokens as well. So you definitely want to be a part of that. So very excited for what Artura.finance is building.
Absolutely, guys, and he has been on fire actually on his trades, and I've helped him a little bit, but not much.
No,
No,
you have with that
just a
couple
little bit.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But man, yeah, you guys got to knock him out of that number one spot, man. As I always say, there's not these type of you know prize opportunities very often, so
Yeah.
you want to take advantage of that. Super excited about what that team is bringing to the Bitcoin ecosystem. So yeah, but before we get into the Bitcoin price action, guys, help us out on the YouTube side. Smash that like and subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so you know when we are going live. On the X side, let's share the space, guys. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Same thing with Abstract. Love our Abstract community. Share that link, and Twitch, Kick, and Spotify, plus Rumble. Let's not forget about that. And let's get into some price action here. But yeah, starting with Bitcoin on the hour chart, looks like we are forming a pretty strong green candle on this hour chart, which started about 18 minutes ago. Right. So will we pull out of this sell momentum on the MACD? It doesn't look like it is really strong. It looks like it's really weakening here. It's been beaten up a bit. So maybe we start to see this fast line start to curl up here. But you can see the stochastics looks like it wants to still kind of head below the oversold territory. That would not be good if we, head down here below the 20-point line. If we head below negative 0.6, that would be horrible, which is kind of the low point that it reached the first time it came down below this. But the MACD is showing some positive energy there. So let's see what's happening on support and resistance here. Let me pull this up for you guys here. Going back to, let's pull this in a little bit, and 7 a.m. Let's pull it back to about 5. Okay, perfect. All right. So the area we're at right now, 114.450. It is about balance, right? It's one of the lower volume areas. So we get some big buy bids. We can push up here, but we are hitting a little bit of a wall of resistance at the 114.510. So, we definitely need some more buy bids to come up in this area. This is the highest volume area. The further the bar sticks out, that means the higher the volume, right? So the data that's going back to 5 a.m., the 114.500 has the most volume in this area. And we are losing that battle a little bit. Above that, we do have the support winning that area. And then above that, we're winning. Above that, we're winning. So if we can get past this area, which could be a little bit of a tough task here, considering we are losing the current area we're in right now. And below that, we do have support, though. So we have support below that at 114.400, then 114.300. So we got support all the way down until 114.120. So if we can manage to push up here, and it looks like we are getting some more buy bids in the area that we're at right now. So we just got to really get past the 114.510, and then we can start to see possibly trying to head towards 114.800, maybe try to knock on the door of 115 today. That would be awesome, right? But I do need to see a little bit more conviction here on this momentum indicator, the MACD. I want to see us kind of have the fast line cross over that orange slow line and us start to see some buy pressure here. So we might see a little bit back and forth for the next hour or so, but it looks like it's jumping up here. So maybe not. Maybe we do see that kind of happen a lot quicker than expected. But I definitely want to wait for the end of the show to really, if I were to go off of, what I'm seeing with the support and resistance, we're probably going to ping pong around this area here a bit, but we do need to get past this level of resistance at the 114.500. Once we get past that, I think we look pretty good. So, it really depends on if we can get past the 114.500. So that is something I'm looking at. If we do, then I see more upside for the next 2, 4, 6, 8 hours. Let's see what the 4-hour looks like. 4-hour looks like the buy pressure is exhausting a bit. You see this trend right here. We have this trend on the 4-hour chart that is been forming for a while. Let's see how long this has been going on here, but you go back to really right here. So 29th of August, right? Do we go sideways? Do we continue up with this trend? Because it is the 4-hour chart, meaning that, this is a long period of time. And, if we are going to kind of match what happened here, then we still have a long ways to go. So, we do need to see how that hour chart plays out, right, for the next couple hours here. If we can get some aggressive push up, there's no reason not to have it. CPI hit expected. PPI was great yesterday. Most people are expecting a rate cut let's see a little bit of baked in possibly for the next couple of days. We are heading into the weekend though, so that makes me a little bit concerned about like getting into something right now, because we have tomorrow and then Saturday, Sunday, and so we could have a little bit of choppiness, a little bit of sideways on the 4-hour chart, but we will see how that plays out. The daily looks pretty good. It's getting stronger each and every day, not super aggressively stronger, but like it's getting stronger each day. So that's a good sign that I'm seeing here on the MACD. We have been in overbought territory, not too long, since the 8th, really. So I think we could, hang out here for a bit. So maybe we do get something really bullish heading into the rate cut, like some bullish price action here. So I think Bitcoin looks pretty good. We might get a little bit of sideways back and forth, but all in all, I feel like we're heading, into this upward trajectory for next week. And the rate cut next week, I think, is Wednesday, right? So we could see something big on Sunday, possibly evening, to get us some, bullish heading into Wednesday. Maybe that will be our baked in. It's a short baked in, and then Wednesday, maybe they sell off a little bit. We'll see. All right, Ethereum on the hour chart, kind of same trajectory as Bitcoin that I talked about, where it is, well, actually, no. ETH is showing a little bit more of the beginnings of the sell pressure. That's interesting. Bitcoin is kind of trying to get out of the sell pressure in the hour, but ETH is just showing that second MACD candle here. Let's look at the support and resistance, see if we're seeing anything similar or completely different than what Bitcoin is showing. Let me pull this out a little bit here. Okay. Let me make sure I got that right. Okay, cool. All right. The 4,400 area, we have the advantage there. Support right below the resistance takes that back. So we do kind of need to maintain up, but then right above that, so we're squeezed in kind of the sandwich right here. So and then above that, we take it back, and it's back and forth. So ETH is kind of going through some battles right now. So I don't know. Actually, I have some. The data is telling me different than what I'm seeing on the Bitcoin side of things. Maybe it catches up if Bitcoin gets hyper aggressive to the upside. It will, in my opinion. But as of right now, if we're going to see a little back and forth on the Bitcoin side, we're going to see even more of that on the Ethereum side, because that's what I'm seeing, at least with the support and resistance. And the indicators are telling me probably going to see a little bit of downside. Probably shouldn't have took that long when I did. I'm just trying to catch up to Shizzy with the Artura platform. But with that being said, it does look like, we probably can see a little bit of a downside. Maybe we get back below 4,400. I don't see anything like drastic unless, we have a bad headline. Bitcoin starts to dump hard, and then maybe we see something drastic. But actually, it doesn't, maybe some downside getting back below 4,400 and hanging around in the 43, high 4,300s is something that I could see possibly happening there. Let's check real quick on the 4-hour. The 4-hour is still in buy pressure, but it is weakening there. So really need to see how the hour plays out for that. Let's take a look at the monthly. Monthly, I've been looking at that a lot. Monthly has been a bit back and forth, but still, holding strong here on the MACD, showing that we're still in the buy pressure. And I believe that I do think that Ethereum has still that chance for all-time high this month. But we'll see if that plays out. But that is Bitcoin and Ethereum for you guys. Let's take a quick look at the crypto bubbles here. Top 100, Hex is up 6.6%, Mint up 10.5%, Pengu pulling back 4.1%, and then we have Tau pulling up 3.2%, Uniswap pulling up 0.9%, HTX pulling up 1.2%. We have Pump down 4.1%. So Pump had been running the past couple of days, so it is pulling back some here. Fartcoin, never good when Fartcoin's down. It's down almost 3% here, and price is sitting at 88 cents. So, from a week ago, it is kind of pulled up a little bit here. Doge up 2.3%, Stacks up 2%, Lido up 0.6%, Aerodrome up 2% here, AVAX up 1.2%, probably based off of that news a little bit there. I'm curious what you think about a project like Stacks. Stacks has had a lot of support, but you're not seeing a lot of adoption necessarily. What do you think is their long-term outlook?
Stacks will be one of the chains that dies out, in my opinion. I think it's going to get replaced by something like Spark. I think Spark will be the new L2 that a lot of these places go to because it is on Lightning. Lightning is a true L2, stuff like that. So, and then they're not really innovating as well. Like Merlin Chain, for instance, is going into BitFi. They're going into AI, and Stacks just isn't there. I mean, I could be wrong. Stacks has a lot of money. Stacks can bring something in like Agent Hustle. They can bring something in like an AI type of product and kind of be relevant again. So I don't know. It's hard because like if you would ask me, a couple months ago, if I thought Polygon was relevant, I would have said no. And who the hell is building anything on Polygon? But then you go look and there's multiple stuff that's being built there. So I could be wrong as well. I just don't see the market really closing in on Stacks here. I think Stacks has been a leveraged play upon Bitcoin, and that's really it. Bitcoin goes up 2%, Stacks goes up 10%. But I think that changes. I just don't think anyone is really using Stacks. But again, I could be wrong.
Could they fall into the category of like a legacy asset that's just looked at as like a digital legacy asset that goes up over time? Like exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, I had a feeling that's what you're thinking. So yeah, I mean, potentially Litecoin. Yeah, remember Litecoin is a chain that has nothing on it, right? You can't build on it because it's UTXO based unless you build like an ordinals type of thing, and nobody seems to be wanting to build that. And when they did do it, no one really used it anyway.
No one kept up with the indexer.
No one kept up with the indexer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna see a lot of legacy stuff kind of go away, but still be around. But like it's just
slow growth
as a leverage play. But I think eventually too, we're gonna get out of like leverage plays for Bitcoin. I think it's gonna be driven by real activity and real money.
What they're bringing to the table.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect breakdown there, and it might not be Spark, but Spark has the potential to do that. But it'll be something probably like that has like.
I'm not betting against David Marcus, dude. Yeah, I think he's going to build something special.
I mean, there's a lot of money there, and he's confident in what he's doing. But regardless, unless unless Stacks does something like, because I think the mindset needs to go into one of two directions. One direction, like do something to where the institutions can make money off of your asset within your ecosystem. Like Merlin's kind of done that, right? Like so. They have a lot of collaboration for that. They have AI as well, but or get through your foundation, fund builders and projects that are going to onboard outside of Web3, like Courtyard and Poly Market. You know what I'm saying? Because people they're like, who the heck? There's no volume on Polygon and et cetera, right? But it was because we're not hearing other Web3 users talk about it as much because Courtyard didn't focus on them. They focused on onboarding these card collectors, and I think that's going to be a big deal. That should be a big focus for ghost chains.
100%. And we got to remember too. I mean, what happens to Stacks when Arch goes live? If Arch goes live, right, on mainnet, and then you got Middle as well. And then who knows, right? Maybe BitLayer can come in and take a portion of what Stacks used to. Stacks is a big market cap. Right. So saying that's what they're going to go away is me just being stupid because a lot of people they'll die with these bags, man. It's just crazy, but we'll see.
Yep. All right. In the top 200 really quick, B, which is one of the largest meme coins on BNB, is down 10.5% there. Linea is line. What is this? Linea?
Yeah, they just went live airdrop yesterday.
So it's down 20.7% there. That's a big drop, probably from
it's airdrop. Yeah, it's airdrop sell-off. I'm not concerned about that at all. This is very normal.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah. Outside of that, Ape Chain or Ape Coin down 2%, PulseX up 0.7%.
One of those companies though, Helium, for instance, right? They're a revenue generator company. They
on Solana.
What their main goal is to make there be no blackouts. You know how some places in the desert and stuff like that, they have blackouts with cell signal. What they do is they if you put one of their devices on your roof, you give like a 30-mile radius internet that they have a deal with T-Mobile that picks that up.
Yeah, for sure. I wish Solana would highlight those kind of projects more. You know what I mean?
Well, they are. They're just yeah, like, you know, the Solana Foundation doesn't highlight anything, right? So that's one of the problems. They don't have any media type of company type of either that I'm hearing about. But you know, if you're into real projects, they're there. You just gotta find them.
Yeah, and also like crypto Twitter, I think it's gonna have its day again of being just like such a good informational thing for the Web3. But as of right now, it's a bubble, and it's a bubble that's an echo chamber, and you know, a lot of information I think with institutions and stuff isn't necessarily filtering through there, or you got to hard search it and stuff. But anyways, really quick, back to this. SNEC up 3.5%. I can't find dog on here. I always like to find dog. Just because
it's so irrelevant right now. I hate to say it, but it is. Rooms are just so irrelevant.
Did it drop out of the top?
No, it's actually went up. It's 260 now, so it's definitely higher than it was. Dude, Eco, man, Eco's a powerhouse.
Yeah, Merlin is back to up 5.5 cents again, back to 16 cents. So that's good. Useless up 18.2 cents. Where's Ika? Oh wow, we had these guys on our show, on the Tokyo show, I should say, the BTC Zone, and they are an NPC provider, service provider for SUI and Bitcoin. And you know, they're definitely taking a different, you know, trying to decentralize NPC as much as possible, which I think is actually the right route to take right now. I mean, with Bitcoin's limitations and core not going to be upgrading that, this is the right approach. Or you're going to use a multiple approach, kind of like what Emblem uses,
Protonics.
right?
Yeah, and
yeah. But that is going to be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the altcoin bubbles for you guys. Hopefully that helps.
Yep. Let's jump into the next thing here, which is roll call. So every single day we take the first comment of the day and we put it on a spreadsheet. Today, that first commenter is my man, Tim Baker, AODR himself. Shout out to Tim Bakes, my guy. Appreciate you, my friend. You have your 9th win of the year. Let me actually show you guys what I'm talking about here. So 9th win of the year. Tim has been on fire. There's still plenty of time, man. Can Tim actually take the crown from Lackey Lukey and WebDro? Only time we'll find out. Only time will tell. We'll find out really soon. But shout out to Tim Baker, man, making that push. Appreciate you, my friend. And we got my guy Mike Dewpoint in here, legendary. He was one I was telling you about, who was I had to help him out with getting a wallet and stuff. And he's like, I'm gonna do research on runes, and so that was really good onboarding moment.
That's what we do. We onboard.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. Giving some people your first rune is TK, man. That's what we want to happen if you're not in the rune ecosystem. So all you got to do is put a TK in the chat, and I'll put you on the wheel, and you potentially could win today. Shout out to Arita TV, my guy, with a TK. Like I said, Tim Baker, AODR himself. Mats is here. Shout out to Mats, Lackey, Lukey, Abstract, K99 in the building, Spindrift, Superfan, my guy, Mats, the other Mats. We got 2 Mats. I got ASAP Benji is here. Shout out to ASAP Benji. Meat Physical is here. Matoshi. Buenas Ideas, my guy. Appreciate you, my friend. Chief Axel is in the building. Stan is here. Stan, that's I double checked, bro. That's not a valid X handle. So please give me a valid X handle if you see this, because I thought I was going crazy because I can't find you unless you have me blocked. I don't know, but I cannot find you, brother. So let me know what you want to do there. Dogs on Air is here. Shout out to Dogs on Air. CNX says, hello, fam. My first time here. Someone told me about your wheel spins, and I'll try my luck. CNX. Yeah, all you got to do, seriously, it's stupid for you not to come into the show and just throw a TK in your Twitter handle, honestly, because you have a chance to win every single day on this show. So I highly recommend you guys come in every day, throw your handle. We're going to be doing the wheel spin here very, very soon. Hydro Sapien is here. My guy, appreciate you, my friend. Make Bitcoin fun again, the legendary one. Appreciate you. Reme, you. I said TK. Cash Cats with the coffee and the donuts and the dog. Go to the moon. Shout out to you, my friend. He says, I'm having one of those days at work. Got to run, but popped in to say hey and smash that. Like, I appreciate that, Cash. Absolutely amazing, sir. Stan says, does the White House need crypto to pump or them to be considered a success? Who needs each other the most? Crypto. So, I mean, one of the big rumors is they're planning to use crypto to solve the national debt, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's the long-term, ambitious goal. But the first job I think they need to focus on is strengthening the U.S. dollar through stables and treasury bonds. Treasury bonds probably might even be a more priority than the U.S. dollar right now, just because they're looked at as not like they used to be. So if you can prop those up and give them more value by backing, them backing stable coins, then we're kind of in that first level layer of the plan, and then you can try to start chipping away at the big plan.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree. Yeah, who knows what can come from that. We'll see here. Let's jump back in the comments here. So where was oh, Stan. Okay, so Mir's here. Shout out to Mir, Joshua, Robert Hathaway. I just added you, my friend. Stan, myself says Satoshi Nakamoto highly valued privacy and not admitted me. The whole space I wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that cypherpunk. So he's basically saying that anonymous is okay according to Satoshi, but that was a different age, right? Like that was a different time in crypto.
I mean, but you can still use that with Bitcoin. So I think as long as the option doesn't go away. Now, if you have participants, that don't want to engage with you because you're anonymous, that's their prerogative.
Yes.
But if you want to stay anonymous and there's going to be a smaller group that stays, you guys can kind of, everybody can be anonymous together in that aspect. Once the ability of being anonymous is taken away completely, zero, then I think that's a problem. But we're not there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be your choice. It's going to be to play the game or not play the game. You can play the game any way you want. But there's going to be a point where they don't let you play their game. But that's KYC, right? That's not something you want to do.
If there's more participants, more liquidity, and more capital in the non-anonymous world, you got to be okay with that.
Yeah. 100%. Rick G says, long live TK. Long live TK. Stan says, Hedera's tech crushes, but I'm not hearing of any devs jumping aboard to build. So potentially we might see something coming from Hedera. So there's one of those things, one of those companies that they're for supply chain, right? They're not really there to people to come there and build all these crazy stuff. They're really there to onboard these Web2 companies, correct?
Yeah, so I mean, they definitely have a corporate approach. They have huge corporate backing, from the get-go. But I think that there's going to be a new, really highly sought after developer. It's going to be like the Hath and Bunzi type that is strong developer skills, but even more efficient with the vibe coding aspect. Yeah. I think their salaries are going to be like 200,000 plus, and whenever the Hedera types hire them, because they're going to put out really good products, but they have the capital and liquidity to do so, right? So think about it like, Web2, whenever Microsoft and their developer teams and, Intuit and their software developer teams and these other ones, like they hire top notch, and there's going to be a job market for these developers that can use vibe coding, but they're like highly efficient and they have to take tests and all these things. They're going to make big salaries, but the developer community will probably shrink a little bit, right? But those people can make a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%. Rick G says Topps had a digital cards in 2021. I still have an unopened pack. Did they? I didn't know Topps had their own.
So they might have had like the the physical cards that back the real ones, but it was still a different series, right? And you know what I mean? Like, for example, when I think of Topps basketball, like before Panini came out, like Topps Chrome was the top of the top, like from the 2000 2010, like the LeBron rookie is a Topps Chrome rookie, right? And I want that backed by a digital asset. That's that series, that collection. I want the top of the top that's in the physical world backed by a digital asset. I don't want a new kind of like, this is the digital asset collection series. No, you know what I mean? So I think Courtyard has it right. They have it right the way they did it. And I think these fanatics will probably roll something out in the future. That's going to be what we're talking about right now. You don't separate the two is what I'm saying.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, 100%. Stan said, "Isn't Arch the BTC Messiah that will erase
their statement?"
So they're having problems. So I guess they can't pass an audit right now. I don't know, but right now October seems to be what they're launching. But I did hear Matt say potentially, worst comes to worst, in January. But the real question is, can you roll up on a chain that doesn't want you to roll up on, right? Which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin, they're not going to help anyone do anything. So, and so it's, I don't know. I don't believe.
Where do you think they're running
Bitcoin
into
roll-ups
issues?
anymore. They're running into issues with, the same issues that ZK had when they were trying to roll up onto Ethereum. And I say ZK, I mean ZK, I think it's ZK Stark. But the issue that they had Ethereum had to update the chain where it's allowing the roll-ups to happen. I just don't think where Bitcoin allows you, especially with the problems of, when you roll up a transaction, where like what happens if one of the nodes block it all, right? What happens if Ocean Mining decides to not have those transactions in that block? Like what
they can run their own nodes, just to make sure that like all you need is one.
But I'm saying I'm talking about the actual roll up part that rolls up, right? So
I think
it's going to happen on the Arch network side, but then the rolling up aspect of it and finalizing everything on the Bitcoin side, it might take 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks. That's the key problem. Yes,
that's the problem right there.
And then there's the problem of me still having that asset on L1 and then doing something else with it, and then double spending. And
if you're claiming to be fast too, right? Yes. So I know there's two versions of it too, and that's also kind of weird, right? Like there's the fast like Arch version of it, and by the way, we're not like, we don't know exactly how Arch works. We know kind of at a high level, right? So there's the Arch version, which is kind of like this, what is it called? SVM, Solana virtual machine, and it goes really fast. But if you want the finalized Bitcoin side, it's a different process, and builders kind of can choose if they want only the SVM side or if they want the BTC finalization side as well.
I think they all have to finalize. It just depends on how often you do it.
No, you can choose not to do the Bitcoin side. I've heard them say that. Like, if you just want to build only on the SVM side, you can do that. But then, like, what's the difference between Solana and that, right? Or whatever, right? They can have that. But the problem is, if you want to use runes and you want to do like AMM through Saturn and stuff like that, then, and I think that what they're trying to do, in my opinion, and I could be wrong if I am, and you guys are part of that developer community, just let me know in the chat. I think the problem is they don't want it to be a poor user experience, and I think sometimes like they can't confirm on their end until it's confirmed on Bitcoin. And I think that's where the problem maybe with these audits are coming in. They're like, well, it's not confirmed yet on Bitcoin. And you're like, well, we want to make the user experience. And it's like, oh, that's security kind of, you know what I mean? So I wonder if that's what they're running into. But there's some money behind them. There's we've worked with Matt and Nick and stuff. Cool guys. Came out of BTC Startup Lab. We'll see what they have, because they've been working on this for a while.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them, right? I'm rooting for any type of innovation on Bitcoin, but it's just getting, as the time goes by, it's getting harder and harder to see an actual launch and it working the way they used to work without a pivot. I do think that maybe if there's, I think a pivot will be fine too if they just become a Bitcoin L2. Eventually down the line too, they could be.
You use Saturn
alone.
You use
on testnet. It's easy to use Saturn on testnet because you know what I mean.
Did you run into like blocks like taking forever or anything like that?
I was using, in the beginning, all types of problems, but like later doing it, I haven't used it in a while. But I wonder what, like, I just don't know why it's not getting these audits done, right? Like, I just don't know. It's just one of those things where they're not really speaking about it. And every chat with Matt now, he sounds like he's getting aggravated. So I don't know.
So you don't think it's a timing thing for the market?
No, definitely. If this audit was done, this thing would be done in July, in my opinion. Because that's the thing too. You have to launch so builders can build. If the chain launches, we might see 6 months before it's actually like doing well, right? Because you still need the builders to come online. So Stan says Helium and Solana Secret. Yeah, it's 100% what I mean too. Like with Helium, like no one talks about it, but it's powering the Solana Seeker. You know what I mean? Like without Helium, I don't think the Solana Seeker can get on these networks. Think about that for a second. Like, where's it going to go on? Run on the T-Mobile rails? Well, you might as well just get a freaking T-Mobile then, right? So, but running on Helium actually runs it on a Solana database. Seamson is here. Shout out to Seamson. And then Seamson says Yagobi is back. Yeah, 100%, man. He's been back since Tuesday. So 100%. Really appreciate every single one of you guys who makes roll call each and every day. Let's jump into the wheel spin here. I got all your names. I'm ready to go. Let's give a couple shuffles here. And let's send this wheel to Valhalla.
Good luck, guys. Good luck.
Abstract crying 2 days in a row. Congratulations to you, my friend. I'm going to remove you, and I'm going to shuffle this, and then we'll send it again. Dogs on air. Congratulations to you, my friend. I think you won twice last week, so absolutely amazing. Add you. Oh no, what the heck?
What happened?
No, it was like Stan's name. I don't even know how that happened. All right, I'm gonna remove you, add the banner there, and then we'll shuffle again, and we'll send it again. Last time here. Hydro Sapien, the legend himself. Shout out to you, my friend. Reach out to you, and both of you guys I already have your Taproot addresses, so I'll just send it and then let you know, guys, when I did send it. So shout out to both of you guys though, and the legend himself, all you guys, man. Really appreciate every single one of you guys each and every day. Appreciate it,
sir.
All right. But that's our show, guys. We got 493 people in here on this. There are 255 people over there on X. Shout out to you guys, man. 23 on Trench Kitty, 103 on YouTube, 112 on Twitch, not to mention everyone on Kick, Rumble, and Abstract, and Spotify later. Appreciate every single one of you guys each and every day.
Absolutely. We are so thankful for y'all. Big show out today, too, especially for kind of how the markets have been. But without you guys, we couldn't do this, and we're very appreciative for that. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate it. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator swap for the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for Bitcoin runes or altcoins, you got to do it at satsterminal.com. Why? Because you will earn Amber points. Amber points are going towards a give back for early adopters. You can do simple swap transactions, connect your wallet for the first time. Those are ways that you can earn Amber points. Make sure you follow them at Sats Terminal on X. And if you want to be a part of their beta test group, message Stan on at that account and let them know you want to be a part of it. They'll add you to the Telegram test group there. But make sure you go to satsterminal.com if you're going to trade for runes or altcoins. And then Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump your ordinals over to Ethereum, you got to use Emblem Vault. Right now, you can jump your Taproot Wizards over to Ethereum, take out a loan on the Gandhi application against it, and they might open up to more collections as well. But you can pretty much bridge over any ordinal or Bitcoin NFT that's in the counterparty world, right? And interact with any applications over on Ethereum that allow you to do so with Bitcoin assets there. Also, they are going to be offering support to other Ethereum layer 2s like Abstract, Base, Arbitrum, possibly a Bitcoin layer 2 and Merlin as well. But Solana is definitely on that roadmap. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in all of the Solana ecosystem called Agent Hustle, which is their AI product. And if you go to agenthustle.ai, you can use the free version. Or there is different levels of subscriptions that give you more tools and access to do more things with Hustle. So in the free version, you can just simply ask him, hey, give me a couple of safe plays. And he'll bring back a couple of safe Solana plays for you and give you reasons why he thinks that these are good plays for you. Also, you can do some conditional trading with them. You can say, hey, buy Fartcoin when it drops 20% and sell it when I'm up 100%. And he will handle all that for you as you take care of your errands, go to the gym, go to the grocery store, whatever you need to do. So don't forget about that. And then also they have another product within the Agent Hustle ecosystem called Migrate.Fund. If you did launch a token on one of the launch pads like Pump Fund or Bonk, you can actually take that liquidity and go kind of get a refresh on another launch pad or just manage the LPs yourself. Obviously, you want your community on board with that, but they have a process to help you do that. So head over to migrate.fund if you're interested in that, or reach out to them on their X account and ask them how to get started. And maybe they can squeeze you into the second cohort as they're about to finish the first cohort. And a reminder, if you bought one of the Emblem Vault NFTs for Emblem Founder Vault keys, then message Jake Gallen at JakeGallen_ on X and let them know you want to swap out that Emblem Founder Vault for the Hustle token, because now the Hustle token is the main token for all of their entities there. And you can learn more about everything I broke down just now at emblem.vision today if you go visit that website today. And then Artura.finance is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for Bitcoin fungibles or synthetic derivatives like Coinbase or MicroStrategy, you're going to be able to do so very soon on Artura.finance. But right now they have a trading competition as they are live on Botanix Bitcoin Layer 2. There's a trading competition for people to have a chance to win $5,000 if you win that first place. Second and third, I believe, is going to be split between another 5,000 USDC, and they are also doing a 20,000, I believe, ARA token prize as well. So make sure you guys are getting involved with that. Right now, Shizzy's in first place, so we can't let him win. You guys got to participate and try to get up there. It's not hard. If you take a look at the leaderboard there, there's definitely people participating more and more, but it's not out of reach. So head over to Artura.finance to learn more there. Also, you can earn points on the platform. The biggest multiplier is adding liquidity to their vaults. Also, Botanix is going to be tracking activity on their chain, so you will earn double points there. So make sure you head over to the website and partake in the platform today. And then Tokyo Wallet is the multi-chain smart wallet that supports Bitcoin, Cardano, and Sui. You can swap for runes, you can swap for Cardano tokens or Sui tokens, as they have partnered with DEX aggregators in all three ecosystems. Also, look forward to them adding more ecosystems, as their whole focus is to have the best UI and UX for all their users, and that means having support for other ecosystems as well. If you have an iPhone, make sure you go to the Apple App Store. If you have an Android, go to the Google Play Store, download the application, let us know your feedback. We'll pass it over to the team. Also, you'll find an alpha section, which is a little YouTube section on there. You'll find our channel and other YouTubers there as well. Head over to Tokyo.io today. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They have an amazing AI product as well in the Wizard version 2.0 that is going to allow you guys to swap cross-chain. All you got to have is some Merlin Bitcoin in your Merlin wallet, which is MetaMask, or some of the Bitcoin wallets there, Unisat and Xverse. And you can swap for Solana tokens. You can swap for BNB tokens. You can also do research for other chains. You can say, hey, Wizard, bring me the top 10 wallets for Fartcoin, and he'll bring you the wallet addresses and what they're holding and all that great information. So it's going to be a huge research tool as well. The Wizard could do DeFi functionalities for you as well, like swapping and staking. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model on Merlin Chain. And if you want to participate in that, there's three options. The first one is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin, which is highly sought after nowadays. On average, you can earn 16% APR. It does close September 30th, so you got about 19 more days from now, but I'm sure they're going to open up another option once that closes. And then you have two options with the Merlin Chain token. You have the flexible, which is the day-to-day. You earn 15% APR there. You can claim your rewards every single day, and you can compound interest those. If you do want to withdraw for the flexible, the day-to-day one, it does take, there's a 7-day cooldown period. Just know that. And then also the bonded option is a 6-month option, but you earn 45% APR. Same thing. You can claim those rewards every day and actually compound interest those. They are locked up for 6 months. This team is crushing it, constantly traveling to conventions, meeting new partners. Make sure you're following them on their Merlin Layer 2 X account so you can be updated to their latest updates. I mean, they're constantly partnering with huge entities, so definitely bullish about them. And then our last partner is Ordinal Hive, which is the fastest ordinal marketplace in the ordinal market. If you buy an NFT or ordinal here, you'll get it right away. You don't have to wait for the block time. They are working on getting the Bitcoin to the seller right away as well. They just had their Ordinal Hive Bees collection mint out last week. If you want to get one of those, you can actually, I believe, get it on their platform as well. And stay tuned to their Hive token announcements as well. And they have some amazing trader tools too. You can see what's happening in the mempool and try to grab something that was mispriced or anything like that. Head over to ordinalhive.io to learn more. And we thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep, man. Great job as always. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io, some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like you help them get started and caught up to where we are today. If you guys need a VPN, we have the best VPN. That's Nord. Check them out over here. Do not pay the full 11.59. Use our discount at $3.09 if you're interested. I think everyone should have a VPN and use Nord. Use our discount and get yourself a VPN through us. There is free ones out there, but Nord is the best. Use it and you'll feel the same. I truly believe that. But then go back over here, head back over to our store. This is our third-party Shopify. Hats, shirts, jackets, so much more. Everything you need for the winter through us, man. Start using your the pup shirts, anything you guys need. Dog Go to the Moon, Billy Cat, and so much more. Check it all out here at onchainrevolution.io. And guys, remember, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys, and until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and arching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain